Psalmist David said in Psalms 119 in verse number 11, I have treasured up your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the double Torah portion, Acharei Motz, after the death, and Kedoshim, or set apart ones. So we're talking about V'ikra, or Leviticus chapter number 16 in particular, about the Yom Kippur process of worshiping Yah, and how Aaron received instructions to go in without suffering the penalty of death. When we read down in verse number 11 through 13, we find, And Aaron shall bring the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house, and shall slay the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and shall take a fire holder filled with burning coals of fire from the slaughter place before Yahweh, with his hands filled with sweet incense, beaten fine, and shall bring it inside the veil. Now listen to what verse 13 says. And he shall put the incense on the fire before Yahweh, and the cloud of incense shall cover the lid of atonement, which is on the witness, lest he die. Now, he takes then in verse 14 the blood that of the bull offering, the sin offering, which is for himself. He sprinkles it with his finger onto the lid of the atonement, which is now covered in an incense cloud. A couple things that we want to be aware of then. When Aaron comes into this most set apart place, this is the final boundary of mankind in approaching Yah's presence. This is a place that's only available to him one time a year. The understanding then is that there has to be additional protocols for the gate to this divine presence to be opened for man to enter in. I'm going to say that again. There is a gate, there is a doorway, there is a means of protocol and entrance into this divine presence one time a year. Now, theologically, church pulpits teach that the veil has now been rent and it's free and accessible all the time because of what Yeshua did. Let's go to the Second Temple period just for a moment. There were 2 large oak wooden doors that guarded the entrance into the temple building itself. These doors, the rabbinical writings, I think the Talmud says, they open on their own accord every day. Now, it would have taken a number of priests to open these doors. Behind that was the 4-inch thick, heavy veil or curtain. Again, this was a very heavy curtain. When the centurion at the foot of the cross on the day that Yeshua died looked from that point and saw that the veil was rent in two, this is the curtain that was rent, availing then you and I to the set apart place, where is the table of the bread of his presence, and the menorah, and the altar of incense. When Yeshua died and he broke open that veil, what changed is the availability of the gifting and the working of the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, upon his body. A deeper understanding of he being the Word and an accessibility to the Word, and an inner sanctum of intercession and prayers and worship at the altar. The veil that guarded the ark was not torn. It was the veil previous to that. So the idea then that that inner sanctum veil that guarded the ark has been ripped open, and now you and I can just go charging into the presence of the Most High and climb up onto the throne with Daddy God, it's not good theology. It may disappoint us a bit. But before you get too disappointed, let's continue. So there is a picture then of the ark that is resting inside what is called the Kedoshim, the most set apart place. And there is the lid of atonement, or the mercy seat. And there is a cloud that covers that seat. That is the cloud of Yah's Shekinah, his glorious manifested presence. And Yah says, I dwell in that cloud. Now, this is a replicate picture then of what happened at Mount Sinai. Yah came down on the mountain, a cloud covered the mountain, and Yah resided in the cloud. Moshe was invited to come up into the cloud, but he did not see Yah face to face. He was still separated by the mist of that cloud, but he did commune with Yah. So there is an invitation then that was given to Moshe to come up, enter into the cloud where Yah was residing. When Aaron walked into this place and he had in his hands a basin of blood for his own sin offering, he also had a handful of incense that he poured into a fire pan, and the smoke would have billowed up, and the smoke of his incense, his prayers, his intercessions would have merged with the cloud of Yah that was on the lid of atonement. You catch the picture? My prayers, your prayers, go up before Yah like smoke of incense. And our prayers and our intercession smoke merges with and becomes one with the smoke of his presence. Maybe you could say we talk to him smoke to smoke. That is that as we intercede, we enter into his presence through prayers and intercessions going up before him. It was in that setting then that the manifested presence of Yah was cloaked enough that Aaron could enter in and take the blood of the sin offering and fling it 7 times over onto the mercy seat that would bring about atonement for himself. Now he's going to additionally bring in the blood of a goat for the same purpose for Am Israel. You and I do not approach him now through animal offerings, at least not in that place and not at this time. But the blood of Yeshua has sprinkled the mercy seat for us. So it's not as though then we can come in and say, hey, price has been paid, fees have been paid, dues have been made. I'm free to come on in and have a good time with the Father. Well, we must solemnly, righteously, and with holy reverence recognize that the blood of Yeshua, our Messiah, was not easily shed. It was painfully shed, thoroughly shed, completely emptied out in our behalf. We must be aware then, with a solemn heart, what it means to be able to enter in. Again, we don't come barging through the veil. We enter in through prayer and by intercession. Now, again, the lid is called the mercy seat. When Moshe went up into the cloud, he received tablets of the written word of Yah, and he came back down. Those tablets were then placed inside the ark. Can we say then that where the word of Yah is resident, the glory of Yah and his manifested cloud will reside over it? So when David said, I have hidden your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you, it's an understanding then that his word being resident in us is covered in his cloud. We're covered in his presence. And we, with righteous, solemn hearts, recognize who He is, and out of righteous fear, I will not sin against you. More tomorrow. Till then, shalom.